This is David Johnston, the executive editor of MainJustice.com. With me today is Michael Levy. Michael is the co-chair of the Bingham McCutcheon LLP White Collar Investigation and Enforcement Group. We're going to talk today about the Dodd-Frank whistleblower provisions in the financial reform bill.
Well, I think that is exactly probably the issue that the department has seen privately and is considering when writing this. So bottom line, would you recommend to your clients that they hire as a consultant a foreign registered lobbyist for a government where they're trying to get a deal done?
Well, I think that you don't necessarily foreclose that possibility, but when you are looking for the person to assist you in dealing with that foreign government, you're going to want to measure the risk of someone in a regulatory position being interested in their conduct as opposed to someone who is less likely to draw attention. Mm-hmm. As often as not, the investigation is more painful than the outcome. Mm-hmm. The Department of Justice has a remarkable amount of power and authority to investigate, and there is no deadline except the statute of limitations. No one wants to sit through a 5-year investigation to find out that they've done nothing wrong.
Right.
So you're going to want to look for the least, shall we say, attractive option. What I mean by attractive is the one that will attract the least attention from your regulator, be it the SEC or the Department of Justice.
You want to stay as far under the radar as you can, and perhaps one of these relationships would bring you to the attention of the law enforcers. Okay.
Exactly.
Let's talk about CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, and what that has meant for companies that want to invest in the United States and for lawyers representing those companies.
Sure. Well, CFIUS administers a statute that authorizes the president to block inbound investment for national security reasons, and CFIUS administers a process for review of inbound investment transactions. For private parties, it's meant the question of whether they should notify their foreign investment transactions to CFIUS in order to try to achieve clearance from the government to establish that the transaction is not in jeopardy of adverse action.
CFIUS being a committee, sort of under the aegis of the president, but the committee operates from the Treasury Department but involves a number of agencies involved in this review.
That's correct. CFIUS technically is comprised of the agency and department heads. It's chaired by the Secretary of the Treasury, and it's comprised by the heads of all the major departments and agencies in the government. It's staffed by staff of the different agencies, principally by those in the Treasury Department.
Do you think that this is a shift that the government has taken based on a policy decision that this is the right way to go?
Absolutely. I think that the government, the Department of Justice, firmly believes this is the right way to go, and I think for two reasons. That they realize that you cannot, in an international economy, international business market, you can't effectively enforce your business crimes, your business ethics, by focusing on what happens here domestically. A lot of these crimes that affect the American economy are being committed abroad in the view of the Department of Justice. And the only way to be effective in terms of your policy and your prosecutions is to make it international.
What is the consequence of this? I mean, there are those who would argue that the United States really has no business imposing its ethical business standards on other countries, yet that does not seem to have affected the approach of the Department of Justice.
No, it hasn't, and I think that is a valid argument. That we don't have any business going abroad and enforcing what is important in our culture in terms of business on other people who look at it differently and whose the cultures and ethics are different than ours. I think the second issue that arises is how effective is this policy in terms of actually trying to do what the department's doing and evening the playing field internationally.